Hello, everyone. Hello, Akyal. Hello, Carlos, Neymar, and Fluke, and Alpha. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm fine. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Do you guys know TGIF? TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF. That's what we say here. There's a restaurant called TGI Fridays. Thank God it's Friday. What are we talking about? I don't know yet. I don't know. We're not talking about anything yet. I just turned on the camera 3 minutes ago. Can I write what? TGIF? TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. That's right. TGIF. All right. So if you have questions, you can ask me questions. I may teach a little bit today. On not Thursday, on Wednesday, I did a live stream where I talked about some of my best tips from the book I'm writing. And we got through about 6 chapters, so maybe I'll try to do a few more chapters today and talk about some more tips. But in general, if you want me to do something, then you must give me something to do, which means ask me questions. I enjoy making my mind work, especially questions like problems. People, just I don't claim to have the answers, but I love to try. I love to get my brain working. It's just, I don't know how to describe it, but there's something that happens to me when someone asks me a certain question in when I'm teaching. And I just feel this sense like, oh, yeah, I understand how to explain that to you. And it just feels good. I like to be able to take the pictures in my head and show them to you so that you can understand. At least the pictures that I see, whether they're right or not, I don't know, but that's what I'll tell you. So, all you have to do is ask me a question, then I shall try to do that. Was there a live yesterday? There was, but it was only about an hour because on Thursdays I have lessons in the morning and I have a lesson at 10:30. So I usually try to do my stream in between, and it's only about an hour, maybe an hour and a half if I'm lucky. But yesterday was a little less than an hour, I think. Can I give some tips for interviews and presentations as well as meetings? Sure. Yeah, that's a good one, Carlos. So, those three things are slightly different. Let's start with interviews because that's the one I talk about the most. Interviews, if you're talking about a job interview, especially, but school interviews also, interviews are about one very simple thing: confidence. An interview for a job, for example, is a very simple thing. It's somebody has a problem and they're looking for a solution to that problem. And you have to present yourself as a possible solution, a good possible solution. That's it. So, if you go to an interview and you present yourself in a way that makes you look like you might be a possible solution to their problem, you'll get the job. But if you go to the interview and you're very nervous and you're very worried, then you just look like another problem. And they don't need another problem. They already have one problem. They're trying to solve one problem. Don't give them another one. Okay, so that's really what it is. You have to show that, they say, oh, well, we have this job. It's a problem. We need somebody to do this job. And you say, oh, well, I can do that. I like doing that. I think I'm good at that. I'd like to help you with that. Okay, so there's interviews. It's confidence, confidence, confidence. And you can practice doing interviews. It's very easy. All you have to do is go do an interview for a job that you don't care about. So go look online for a job. Look for 10 interviews. 10 interviews for jobs that you don't care about. A job that you don't even want, right? And 3 of them, I want you to choose 3 of them that are like the best job you could possibly ever get, right? Like I want you to choose 3 that are jobs you think you'll never qualify for, that you're not good enough for, that you wish you could get. And just go do the interview for that job. You probably won't get it, but you'll have an interview and that'll be a good experience. But there is a 1% chance you might get that job just because you went and did the interview. So go do some interviews for practice, okay? Presentations. When you present something or give a speech, I think it's best to change your mentality, change the way you feel about what you're doing. If you feel like it is a stage performance, then that's a higher level of nervousness. It's more worrying, okay? But what if you're just teaching? What if somebody's just asking you a question and you have the answer? That's all you're doing, right? They asked you, "Hey, you know about this thing, right? Can you tell us about that cuz you know about it?" Right? So then when you're if you're in a teaching mindset, it doesn't feel like everybody is looking at you and judging you. It feels like they need help and you can help them. That's a little bit less pressure. Okay, so I have found that anytime I have to give a presentation, I just need to think about it differently. Instead of thinking about it like, everybody's looking at me, oh no. No, it's just like, hey, they need some help, and I'm going to help them if I can. I'm going to do my best to help them. Okay? Now, meetings, it depends on the meeting. If you're talking about a meeting at work, every job has a different kind of social environment. So that means I cannot really give you general advice for meetings because it depends on the place you work. You have to figure out, what is this social atmosphere at work? What is it? Is it a very, very strict social atmosphere where everybody says yes, sir, and no, sir? Is it a very... Or maybe it's a very relaxed, loose social atmosphere where, everybody's like, "Hey, what's up, buddy? Hey, Chuck, how you doing? Jane?" Whatever, right? Everybody's very casual. So it depends on the social environment. Once you figure out what the social environment of your work is, then you can try to decide how you can present yourself. And that is called code switching. CODE, switching, code. Code switching is a psychological term that means that we speak and act differently depending on who we're talking to, right? So if I talk to my parents, I speak one way. If I talk to my students, I speak another way. If I talk to my best friend, I speak another way, right? We speak differently. I speak differently to somebody that I don't like, right? So, once you know the environment, then you can figure out how to present yourself in that environment. Okay? Carlos? How to go to the USA. Lin Ju, I buy a ticket. I don't know. You have to do the work on that. I don't know much about what the requirements are right now for Chinese people to come here. You have to go look online. Go to the U.S. Department, State Department, Government State Department website, and you can find all the information about every country, what is required for you to come here. Okay? I don't know all of that. Hello, Nadia. Alexander, hello. My private lesson was fine. Am I going to watch the Michael Jackson movie? Well, to be honest, I don't watch most new movies ever anymore. I'm very hard to please. So I don't like most movies. I just don't. I mean, today, modern movies today, I think that the very, very, very few modern movies are really good and worth watching. That's my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm very difficult to please. I haven't heard anything about this Michael Jackson movie, about if it shows a side that we should see. Maybe it shows some side we should see that we didn't know about before. If it does, perhaps I will go see it. But the story of Michael Jackson is mostly very old and has been told many, many times. So that's like asking me, do I want to go see the new Titanic movie? No, I know the story of the Titanic. I know what happened. I don't need to see another movie about it. Unless that movie has something new about it. Oh, look, it wasn't the iceberg. It was a torpedo that actually sunk the ship. Okay, then maybe I'll go see that movie. But if it's the same story, nah, I'm probably good. I already know that story. I don't need to know anything more. Thank you. Right? So I don't, probably not. Nothing against Michael. He's gone now, and probably for the best, based on what we know. You're always confused where to apply articles like a and an? That's not that hard. Come on. Oh, wait. Hold on. I got a message here. Um... So it's not that hard, BT. If you have, let's say you have a cup, all right? If I say, I want the cup, that means that one, that specific cup, that one. Not some cup, not any cup. I want the cup. And if I say the, it means maybe there is only one. Maybe there is only one cup. But if I say, I want a cup, I don't care what cup, just give me a cup, any cup. I don't care which one. So the is talking about a specific one. Either it's the only one or one that you always use. Okay? It's the one that's always used for that thing. Okay? The and a. A is for anyone, right? I want a cup. I want a chip. Like I'm eating potato chips. Maybe I'm eating snacks, right? I want a potato chip. Do I care which one? No, just give me one. Give me a chip. Okay? But if there's one chip on my table, then I'll say, oh, I'm going to eat the chip. It's the chip. There's only one. It's that one. Okay? Now, an is just the same as a, but an is only used for words that begin with a sound that sounds like a vowel. Right? So, for example, the word umbrella, that's a vowel. So, the word umbrella, we don't say a umbrella, we say an umbrella. Okay? But the word hour is spelled H-O-U-R, an hour, right? We don't say a hour, we say an hour. But it's spelled with an H in the beginning, but that H is silent. Shh. We don't say hour, right? We say hour. So that means the first sound that you hear is a vowel. That's the rule. If the first sound of the word is a vowel, then you make it an, not a. Okay? And then my next suggestion is you should go to gametolearnenglish.com and bamboozle.com and practice articles. They have games to practice articles. Just play games for a week and then you'll know. Okay? It'll be easy. All right. Hello, Vanel. Linju, how to practice English quickly. I don't teach quick. I teach well. Okay? So, learning is not about speed. Learning is about knowing. All right? So, Linju. 第一次你需要学英文 now。你有英文 now 吗？如果你没有英文 now， 你不可以说英文。OK？ 如果你没有英文 now， 你需要翻译。OK？ 现在我不需要翻译。 因为我有中文脑，听得懂吗？所以每天我不是要说的，可是是要想的。Can I give a tip about getting a higher band score for reading? My weakness is reading. When have you practiced reading? What reading have you practiced, and how are you practicing your reading? Are you practicing with a timer? Have you been to my website? On my website, there is a link for IELTS or TOEFL, all the practice that you need, whether it's speaking or reading. There are links, lots of links there for practice. Okay? Will I invite you for my marriage day? Well, I'm not getting married, so I don't know what you're talking about. If you meet colleagues or a hierarchy at work, would it would be harder than meeting friends? I talk about speaking in public. Well, okay. So then if you're just talking about general public speaking, there is one very simple thing that you can do. If you want to ride a bicycle, then you have to ride the bicycle to get good. If you want to be good at speaking in public, then you have to speak in public to get good. Ride the bike. Ride the bike until it's comfortable. So go speak in public until you're comfortable. If you've never done it, then of course you're not comfortable doing it. Nobody is comfortable doing things they've never done. So the answer is, if you want to be comfortable, you must do it a lot to become comfortable. So start doing it. Okay? I don't know anything about green cards. Hello, Evanel. Is it possible for you to study English now? Well, yeah, of course. I started learning Chinese when I was, I don't know, what I was, 30, 32, something like that. Maybe a dumb question, but is it good to take private lessons? Of course it's good. If you have a good teacher, then it's good. I promise. I am always looking for a good teacher. If I see a good teacher, someone that I can learn from, absolutely. I love finding a good teacher. When you find a great teacher, please, yeah, go sign up. Take a lesson. All right? Absolutely. Always be learning. Okay? Which type of games? They're learning games. Learning games. Okay, so guys, look right here. This is bamboozle.com. Bamboozle has 4 million games made by teachers. Games about any kind of learning, but they have tons of stuff for English. So all you have to do is go here up in the corner and type in whatever you want to work on. So let's say you want to work on articles. Oh, let's choose English. Where's English? Okay, and search, and there we go. Articles, definite versus indefinite articles, phonics articles, a and the articles. Look at all the games about articles, and look, there are more, many, many, many more. Okay, so look, click on this one. I think it's good for blank families to spend time with each other every day. Now click it and see what it says. What is it? Anyone? How about this one? When I was younger, I wanted to be a footballer, but now I'm learning the guitar. I want to be in a band. Okay? This is Bamboozle. All right? And then there is another great app or great website called games2learnenglish.com. Can you see this? Look at all the games. Games about similes and metaphors, games about simple present, phrasal verbs, games about clothes, games about jobs and adverbs of frequency and body parts and past tense and prepositions and countries and directions and idioms and proverbs and phrases and adjectives. And it's all free. Okay? Let me go back and get the next question. What's the difference between a poll and vote and survey and sample? Sometimes nothing, Saeed. Sometimes, let me think. They all mean roughly the same thing, but each one is used in maybe a different environment, right? So, for example, sample is usually talking about statistics somehow. Statistics. So, for example, if they want to know what everyone thinks, then they need to ask 10 people or 100 people. And that's the sample. The sample size means, how many people did they ask, right? That's the sample, right? A survey is when you ask everybody the same questions to see what they think, right? Or you ask everybody the same questions to see what the data is, okay? Vote is when you have a choice of many, many things, like in politics, right? And you want to vote for this guy or for that guy, right? So that's voting, right? And then a poll is similar to sample, right? So the word sample is often used in more science and statistics, but the word poll is used in politics, where to take a poll is to ask everybody, what do you think? Let's take a poll. How many people think breakfast is better than lunch? Right, breakfast people, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all right, 5 breakfast people. Lunch, 1, 2, 3, all right, 3 lunch people, 5 breakfast people. That's taking a poll, right? Now, is that the same as taking a survey? It could be. If a survey is only one question, maybe, then it's a poll. So, like I said, there are some times when these words could be interchanged, and it would work fine, but in most cases, these words are used in certain situations, okay, to mean almost the same thing, but in different situations, okay? Where should you not apply articles? That's an interesting question. never thought about it that way. Where not to use them. Well, that's interesting. I like thinking about that way. So when you're referring to general things, uncountable things, plural nouns, proper nouns, specific locations, and meals. So like breakfast, right? We don't say the breakfast usually. We just say breakfast, right? I'm having breakfast, right? We don't say I'm having a breakfast or the breakfast. We just say I'm having breakfast. But maybe I had breakfast, I ate breakfast, and somebody later will ask me, hey, was their breakfast good? And I could say, yeah, the breakfast was good at this hotel, or the breakfast was good at this restaurant. Okay? So there are some cases where you might use an article when talking about a meal, but not always. Most of the time, not. Okay? So, again, that list is when you're talking about general things, you don't need an article. When you're talking about uncountables or plural nouns and proper nouns, you don't need an article. When you're talking about specific locations, like Cincinnati, you don't live in a Cincinnati or the Cincinnati, you live in Cincinnati. New York, you don't live in a New York or the New York, you live in New York. Okay? I know approximately 6,000 words, but when I try to speak, I almost every time translate words in my mind. I can't speak native phrases. Okay, so Alexander, I would say you need to start a new training program for your mind, to train your mind to think in English about those 6,000 words, right? So then that's the secret, is that if you train your mind to think in those words, then when you want to speak them, you can. So you think that the secret of practicing is speaking, but it's really not. The secret of practicing language is thinking. Now, speaking is great. That's great practice. But all speaking begins with thinking. So you should still start with thinking practice. Okay? And if you didn't do that, if you started learning a language without thinking and you're just translating, now it gets complicated because now you've learned a lot, but it's all going through a filter where you have to translate everything in your head, and that's too slow. So that's why you have to go back and learn how to think in English. Train yourself to how to think in English. Every day, wake up, start with simple things. What's that called in English? What do you call that in English? Can I say that in English? How do you say that in English? Everywhere you go, think about it. Okay? Who is good enough to be my teacher? Lots of people. Many, 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 many people are good enough to be my teacher. It doesn't matter how good you are. It matters how good you want to be. If you always want to be better, then it doesn't matter how good you are. You still learn because you still want to be better. Ahmed, I don't know what that means. Question in all interviews. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means. You've said it three or four times, but I don't understand. Wait, what? What's the difference between I quit smoking and I quit smoking? They're the same. I don't see a difference in what you wrote. You want to learn more about being an English teacher? Well, then go start teaching English. Find someone to teach and start teaching them for free because you don't know how to teach yet. You're learning how to teach. So to learn, go do. All right, you'll find out how to learn or how to teach. You just have to go do it. Somebody will ask you a question, and then you have to think about, how do I explain this to them? That's teaching. Okay, so for me, learning in school about teaching is great, but the most important thing that you need to do is go teach. And then you'll learn about all the things that you don't know and need to know. Okay? How will we improve our accent? To improve your accent, work on phonics. Work on your vowels. And you need to understand, Nashud, that every language has vocabulary and grammar and all of those parts of language. But every language also has mouth movements. Each language has different mouth movements. And if you don't know those mouth movements, then you won't sound good. And so when most people tell me they have an accent, it's because you're speaking English words, but you're using mouth movements from your language, and they don't match. So that means you need to go back and practice English phonics more. And another great way to practice English phonics and pronunciation is with tongue twisters. Tongue twisters like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. She sells seashells down by the seashore. Practice those and your lips will wake up, okay? How can you find a job interview as a translator? Well, if you want to be a professional translator, Evanel, that's a very difficult job that requires the highest level of language ability. So if you're talking about being a professional translator, that's a very hard job that will take many years of studying to be that thing. If you're just talking about helping people learn and understand, what I would suggest is tourism, right? Go talk to the tourists if you can. You know, if you live in a place where they have tourists, go there and volunteer to translate things for people. You know, maybe they're at a restaurant and they need some help, right? Or you can give them a free tour of this museum or this, you know, whatever. Take them to the market and show them around. And then that is something that you can do where you can translate. You know, you can practice your English and you can translate for people too, right? Or you can, well, it's basically what I would say is if you want to do that job, then find ways to practice that job now. Okay? By translating as much as you can. All right? But that's a very difficult job. Many years ago, I thought about that maybe I'd like to be a translator too, but I honestly don't think I could ever do it because in my opinion, to be a translator, you have to have near perfect mastery of 2 languages. That's hard. I don't have near perfect mastery of English. So I can't imagine ever being nearly perfect in Chinese. I'm okay. I'm pretty good. I'm okay. But I will never be perfect. But that's okay too. How to cover the gap in the level between writing, which I'm much better at, than speaking. Hajar, writing and speaking are two different things. Writing is good, but writing allows you the time to think about your words and to craft your words, right? So writing is great practice because it helps you to solidify your thinking, to make your thinking stronger, right? You think about things, then you write them down. When you see them written, you go, oh, I don't know if I like it that way. Let me make it this way. And now it's better, right? So when you see it and you think about it, you have more time to craft those words and make them better and stronger. But when you're speaking, it's a different thing. So how about this, Hajar? Have you ever tried to write something, write a topic, write about something that you know, and then go speak about it to some people? So you're talking about the same thing. You are talking to people about the thing you wrote about. You don't get to look at your writing. You can't look at your writing, but I'm saying maybe practice writing something, then practice speaking about the same thing to see. Most of the time, if you need to be better at speaking, it's because you don't know about this thing enough to speak well about it, right? Or you're just nervous because you don't know much, right? But if you write about it first, then you know. So now you should be able to speak about it. So write first, speak next. Write first, speak next. Okay? Do I have online classes? I do teach privately if you pay me. Yes, I am a private teacher. This is my job. But you have to go to my website and you have to buy my lessons. I'm drinking iced coffee. I almost spilled it all over myself, too. What should one do to move beyond small talk? Memorize vocabulary or read? No, moving beyond small talk is just about being more curious. Small talk is when you just meet somebody and you say, oh, hey, how about this weather? It's a beautiful day, right? Wow, I wonder if it's going to rain later. That's small talk, right? Or, did you see the game last night? Man, that game last night was amazing. That's small talk, okay? So if you want to move past small talk, then you just start being curious about that person. Politely curious, So you say things like, if you're talking about the weather, right? You said the weather's great. You say, do you have any plans for this weekend? I think I'm going to go hiking up in the mountains, maybe, right? You're asking them about themselves, and you're telling them something about yourself. So you're not being creepy. It's creepy when people ask about you, but they don't offer anything about themselves. That becomes a little bit like, why are you asking me questions so much? Right? But when you offer something about yourself, if you say, hey, any plans this weekend? I think I'm going to go hiking, maybe. Then you're offering what you're doing. You're just saying, hey, I'd like to keep talking, right? About something, right? So choose a topic and then start talking about it, or be curious. It's amazing how many people don't understand a very simple thing like curiosity. Curiosity is one of the most important qualities a person can have. In my opinion, it might be the most important quality as a human. Curiosity. The smartest people are the most curious people. My opinion. Okay? Can I assess a joke that you're going to text? Maybe. I don't know if I'm how do I know if I'm not funny? The correct answer for why you left your job, why do you want to work for us, Ahmed, there is no correct answer for that, man. I cannot tell you a correct answer for any one question because one question that's just one question. But that question is now asked to a million different people. And what they're looking for, Ahmed, they're looking for honesty and are you genuine? Are you genuine? So if I tell you the answer, that's not genuine at all. And they will know that. They will see, look, he memorized an answer. He is not genuine. He's not real. He just memorized an answer. That's not real. That's not what they want. So do not memorize the answer, man. Ahmed, if someone says, why did you leave your job? You say, I left my job because I didn't like it. I left my job because I was looking for something better. I left my job because I was being mistreated. I left my job. Be honest. If they can't hire you because you're honest, then you don't want to work there anyway. If you can't be honest, then you don't want to work there. All right? So tell them what you think, don't be crazy about it. Don't say, my boss was a beep, like don't be rude, but be honest, be genuine, okay? Genuine, real. It means real, genuine, okay? Why do you want to work for us? Ahmed, if they ask you that question, then you need to tell them, do you know anything about this company? Show them that you do. I want to work for your company because your company has been in my neighborhood since I was a boy. I've seen your stores, and I really like your stores. Or I read about you. You guys are expanding soon into South America, and I would really love to go to South America, so I would like to be part of your expansion. Read about the company. Show them that you know something about the company. Then when they ask you, why do you want to work for us? You can tell them something real. That's all they want. They want you to be real. Because they've heard fake. Believe me, they have heard fake a million times. Oh, yes, sir. I would love to work for your company, sir, because your company is the greatest company in the world, sir. No company is better than your company, sir. They've heard that a million times. They don't want that. Okay? Okay. Please be patient. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. There are many, many, many comments. Many questions. Is it important? Should I focus on the 12 tenses or should I just focus on 3? You should focus on the 12 tenses. You need to know them all, but they're not all equally used. Some are more common than others, right? Tensing is hard in English. I admit it is difficult, but it does require more practice than most things in English. So go to those games websites that I gave you and practice the tense games. Any tense game about tense, go practice it on those websites. Okay? Can you explain why we say fast food but quick shower instead of quick food and fast shower? So fast food is a term that was created in the 1950s in America when we created fast food restaurants. Before the 1950s, all restaurants were really the kind of place you go sit down inside. Before the 1950s, there were no fast food restaurants like we know today. Okay? I think it was the 50s. Let me double check. What was that? White Castle? White Castle. $1927. Wow, that's earlier than I thought. 1921, 1927. Okay, so I see. So fast food began in the 1920s and 1930s in America, but it didn't become really popular until the 1950s, and that's because in the 1950s America built our highways, all the highways that take us all across the country, and then when they built the highways, all the restaurants started building with the highways. So then fast food became much, much more popular. But fast food was it is a term. It's like a phrasal verb. It's a thing that comes together. Those two words they're put together because they're a concept. Okay, quick shower is an adjective that just describes doing something. A quick walk, a quick shower, a quick read, a quick look. Okay, so quick shower is not a phrasal verb. It's just a verb and an adjective. Okay. But fast food is a phenomenon, it's a concept. Okay. And we do say fast shower every once in a while. I need to get a fast shower. I'm going to take a fast shower. Yeah, sure. You can say fast shower. I found some words have the same root. Yeah, architecture, right. Architecture, hierarchy, right. Arc means ruler. It's about talking about rulership, right? So monarchy, mono meaning one, king, one ruler, monarchy, right? And that's right. So Tien, a lot of English words have similar roots because about 60% of English words come from Latin or Greek, so they have the same root. Okay? Healthy says, how can you speak like me? Well, if you want to speak like me, then you should do what I have done. Why does it seem like I can speak with no pressure on my mind? Why does it seem like I can teach? Because I have been teaching for a long time. Practice makes perfect. You know, if you want to sound like me, then you have to go do this. You have to go speak. Okay? That's really what it is. What's big as a house, loud as a tractor, burns 30 liters of fuel in an hour and cuts an apple into 3 pieces. That's pretty funny, Alexander. I like that. That's pretty funny. You have a question. I dance, you dance, he dances. Why? Moon, because we're talking about he, she, it. I, that's me. You, that's you. That's two people. But what if we're talking about someone else? Someone else. He dances. So, because it's someone else, I dance. That's me. You dance. That's you. Someone else, they dance. They are dancing. He dances. Okay? Now, if you want to know why, it's a little bit harder to explain, but hold on. Let me find this page. Let me see. Where was that page? there's a page. So this is called third person singular present tense agreement. But what's the history? I can't remember it, but I know it's there. One moment. I'm looking for the right page. I can't find it anymore. Ah, right. There it is. I forgot. Yeah. So, in English, we have the letter S for two reasons. One is to make it plural, like a plural noun, right? Like two cats, one cat, two cats, right? But it makes a verb singular. Okay? So it's called the perspective rule. So in grammar, we group people or we group subjects by person. As how do I explain this? A long time ago, grammar in English was different. A long time ago, every single one, I, you, he, she, it, they all had a different ending, actually. But they simplified things. Over many, many years, things became more simple. And so it became I dance, thou dancest, thou was you a long time ago. We didn't say you a long time ago. We said thou. Okay. And then it was he danceth, th, and we danceth, th. But we don't use the th ending anymore for the most part. We just use the s ending, right? So you used to be plural, but it's not anymore, right? So it's confusing. I know it's confusing. It's about the history of the language. The reason why we do that is because over many, many years, the grammar rules changed, and some of them changed and made it much more easy, like I and you, and some of them they still reflect the old way, okay? So the he dances and you dance, that's different because a long time ago it used to be he danceth, th, and it got changed over time. There is no logic behind it. It's just history. Okay, tradition. Okay. I try to speak my mind, but I know it's different than what I wrote about. But that's normal. That's supposed to be that way. Writing is not the same as speaking. That's one of the reasons why writing my book is so difficult. Because my ideas, I can speak about my ideas very clearly, but my writing is not the same. When I try to write with the same voice that I speak with, it doesn't quite come off right. It doesn't sound the same. So now I'm working on kind of a middle voice where I'm kind of speaking. My writing voice sounds a little bit like my speaking voice, but it has to have a little bit more of my academic writing in it too. And it's hard to explain. Anyway, okay. What's the difference between I stopped smoking and I stopped to smoke? To smoke means the verb that you're going to do that thing. To smoke. Smoke means to smoke a cigarette or cigar or something, right? So when you say to smoke, you're saying to do a thing, to do a wait. I stopped to sit, I stopped to read, I stopped to talk, I stopped to smoke. okay? But I stopped smoking. Smoking is a constant, continuous, progressive thing. It's the idea of a concept. Are you smoking or not smoking? Does this restaurant allow smoking or is it non-smoking? This restaurant is a non-smoking restaurant. Okay, so smoking is the thing. It's like a hobby. Do you like to smoke? Yes, I like smoking. Okay, that's consider it like you're talking like a hobby, right? Like drink and drinking, same thing. I stopped drinking means I don't drink alcohol anymore. I stopped smoking means I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Okay? Wow, man, I'm trying to keep up, but you guys are making it so hard. Um, where do you see yourself in the future, Ahmed? Uh, I can't give you an answer, man. You have to come up with your own answer. Ask ChatGPT to help you. Okay? Never be an apple polisher when you're looking for a job. Well, that's interesting. I've never heard that version of the phrase. That's good. Right. So healthy, that's the rule, right? But why do we do it that way is what he's asking is why is it different than I and you? We all know there's a rule, but I'm the kind of person that wants to know why is it different? Like he was asking, why is it different? You know? And there is a reason, but it's history. It's not a good reason, it's just history. Okay? It's not logic. It's just history. Hello, Taina. I'm fine. How are you? Hello, Esther. How are you? Oh, you made that up. Oh, that's good. I like that. That's even better. That's even better when you do that. Some people think, oh, you can't do that. You can't make up new words. You can't say something a new way. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's the beauty of language. You absolutely can make a new word. You absolutely can say something for the first time that's never been said that way before. If you can defend it, then you can say it. If you can defend it, then you can say it. So what do I mean when I say defend it? What I mean is, can you explain it? Do you know the rules? Right? So if someone tells you, you can't say it that way, that's not right. You can tell them, oh, well, I know that rule. I do know that rule. I'm familiar with that rule. But I prefer to say it this way. That is the way I view language. Okay? As long as you can defend it, you have to make an argument. Why is this better? If you can make an argument why it's better, fine. But if you just write and things are incorrect and you can't explain why it's better the way you do it, then no, it's just wrong. All right? So if you can defend it, it's right. If you cannot defend it, then it's wrong. Understand? If you learn the rules, you can break the rules. But if you don't know the rules, then you're just ignorant. Okay? 2 days ago you took an English exam, but you don't think you did very well. All right, well, that's okay. Take another one. Taking tests also requires practice. I wish someone had told me that a long time ago. When I was a boy, I wish someone would have told me that, test taking is actually difficult. And you can practice test taking. Like you can learn how to take tests. But you have to practice. You have to take a lot of tests so that you get good at test taking. But they don't teach you that. Why does the phrase come across mean to give an impression to others? Let me think of how to explain that. Wait a minute. Let me do a little research. So, the term come across, it began as a meaning of to move from one side to the other, right? So come across from this side of the room to the other side of the room. Come across. That was the first meaning of come across. Then the meaning grew, and come across then also became something like to meet or find something unexpected. Like you're walking in the woods, and what did you come across? Ah, look, I found something. I was crossing, and I saw something. Ah, I came across something, right? So the first meaning was to come across the room, or to go from one side to another. Then the meaning grew. When you were coming across, maybe you see something. Right? So I came across something. I found something, right? Right? That's what it means. So maybe I was scrolling through my social media and I came across a really great song. That means I found one. Okay? Then the meaning come across grew again, and it means to give an impression, to make someone feel like you are that way. And that is like finding something, right? Like when you find something, it's like, oh, look, I found it. It's there. So when someone comes across, it's like you're finding out that that's how they are, right? So I don't want to come across as rude. That's what we say. I don't want to come across as rude. Okay? So that means I don't want you to find me as rude. I don't want you to think that I am rude, like you found me to be rude. Okay? So this all comes from the idea of walking, finding something, and being like, wow, look at that. Okay? So when you come across as rude, or come across as angry, or come across as lazy, it means someone found you to be that way. Like they're just like you're walking through the woods and you find something. Okay? Because I hope that makes sense. All right. Neither he nor my friends were playing this game. Why can't we use was in place of were? Why? So when you say neither he nor my friends, friends is already plural, and now you're adding he and my friends. That's definitely a they. That's many people. If it's many people, then you use they. They were, not they was. Okay? The only time that you would use a singular to talk about a plural is when you're talking about a group that is referred to in the singular, like the audience or the band, right? The band has many people in it. So I can say the band was playing, and that's one. But I can say the musicians, they were playing, right? They were. That's they. There were many, right? How to practice pronunciation clearly. Sometimes my friends did not get it. Obstacle. Just like I practiced ba, pa, ma, fa, da, ta, na, la, right? I had to do all that. So you have to do that with A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, A, E, I, O. And then B, 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 ba, 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 C, 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 ka, 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 D, 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 da, da, da. And Chinese is a small mouth language. So when I speak Chinese, I try to use a small mouth. English, American English, if you want to speak clearly like me, then you must use a big mouth and you must articulate. If your mouth is always small, then everything looks the same like this. Everything is the same. Nothing is different. Everything is right in here. Nothing is different. But if you move your mouth a lot, then everything is different and clear. If your mouth hurts, you're doing it right. Okay? Dilshot, I don't know what the best apps are for learning now. I don't know. You have to go find that. I don't know. Duolingo is still good, I think. I think Duolingo is still fine. What's the best way to introduce yourself? Well, that depends on who you're introducing yourself to, whom you're introducing yourself to. If you're introducing yourself to your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents, that's one thing. If you're introducing yourself to some new person at the bar, that's another thing. If you're introducing yourself to somebody at work, that's a different thing. So there are many ways to introduce yourself. Pick one and start. Language warrior, what's the difference in meaning and usage between will and going to when referring to future events? This is a hard one to answer because the truth is there is a rule, but most people don't know the rule and many people don't follow the rule. So I think that most Americans, they use will and going to very interchangeably. I will do the dishes later. I'm going to do the dishes later. There are many cases where those mean the same thing because colloquially, many people think they are the same. Okay? But there is supposed to be a difference. The rule is supposed to be that you use will for decisions that are made at that exact moment when you're speaking. Like, I'm thirsty, I will have a glass of water. That's the rule. But does everybody follow that rule? No. Most people don't even know there is a rule. Okay? Going to is for when you're talking about planned things that you're planning. I'm going to the mountains this weekend. I'm going to my friend's house later. Okay? So that's the rule. And some of it has to do with belief versus evidence. Like, if you believe you're going to do something, then you say will. Like, I think our team will win. I think our team will win the game. Okay, that's belief, right? Going to is more like evidence. Like, oh, it's 12-4. Our team is going to win. Right? That's proof you know they're going to win, or you're likely going to win, right? But there are also some special ways to use will. For promises, when you promise things, I will always be there for you. That's a promise, will, right? But again, do some people say, I'm going to always be there for you? Sometimes they do, right? So this is a difficult rule because there is a rule, but it's a rule that most people don't follow or know. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think it's going to take a little practice for you to just figure out which one is the right one. But it's okay if you say the wrong one. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Life is not a grammar test. Okay? The sky is not going to fall if you say the wrong thing. All right? So you know on cloud nine means extremely happy, but you don't know why. I know why. I can tell you why. Cloud nine. I'm on cloud nine. That means I'm really happy. Why is it cloud nine? Because when the scientists were categorizing all the different kinds of clouds, let me see. Let's see. There are 10 kinds of clouds. One moment. Yeah, that's right. So a long time ago in the original atlas, when we were talking about clouds and the scientists were writing down the categories of clouds, the biggest kind of cloud, the biggest one, those are called cumulonimbus clouds. Cumulonimbus, those are the big puffy, big fat clouds, right? That's the biggest one, cumulonimbus. That's the 9th one. That was the 9th classification of clouds, was the cumulonimbus, the biggest one. So when you say I'm on cloud 9, it means I'm on that big puffy cloud. Okay? How can you improve your phonics? Practice phonics. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, Go to my website, everybody. If you don't know who I am, then let me help you. Some of you are new and you don't know who I am. I am not new. I have been on Hello Talk for more than 12 years. I have been live streaming here for more than 5 years, I think, about 5 years. I have done more than 2,400 hours of teaching here. More than 1 million people have watched me here. About 90,000 people follow me here. All right. So if you want to know more about me and what do I do here, then get that file. Get the file, get the file, get the file. This file that I just put in the chat, copy it and paste it. Copy it and paste it. Copy it and paste it. All right, copy it and paste it, and you'll see everything about me. My schedule is in the file, okay? Who is this guy? It's in the file. My website is in the file. My YouTube is in the file. My blog is in the file. I have 4 articles that I gave to you in the file. All right. One is about how to think in English. Another is about the best way to learn vocabulary. The third one is about the 8 parts of language. If you know what the 8 parts of language are, then you can work on language. Okay. So there are a bunch of articles in that file. All right. My recommendations for daily English exercises. I don't have any because everybody's different. You need to work on what's important for you. So, what are your weaknesses? Whatever your weaknesses are, that's what you should be working on, right? So, for example, maybe continuous, present continuous, or past progressive tense, or whatever. I don't know. Pick a tense. Pick a tense. Whichever tense is difficult for you, then you should go to bamboozle.com and do that tense every day for a few minutes, every chance you get. You should go to gamestolearnenglish.com and practice those things whenever you can, right? If you need work on second conditionals, then go to that website and practice those every day, right? So what I mean is, I can't just tell everybody the same exercises because everybody has different problems. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. And your strengths, you know what your strengths are. Everybody knows their strengths, but that's not what you need to worry about. What you do need to worry about is your weaknesses. Though that's what you need to worry about. Okay? So figure out what is your weakness and then start practicing exercises that focus on your weaknesses. Okay? You're a big fan, Noah. That's funny. Nali Nali. That's what I'll say. I just played a set of environmental and weather vocabulary games on Bamboozle. It was great. See? Look, see how easy that was? When I was a kid, if I wanted to learn about environmental and weather vocabulary, I had to just memorize it from a book. There were no apps. There was no website. There was no fun stuff. There were no games like this. Yeah. Is that facetious, Noah? It could be facetious. Thank you, Ira, for the gifts, and Abner. You need help with your IELTS speaking test. Okay, so then go to my website and start looking at the IELTS links. Okay, here's my website. Wait a minute. Let me give you the right one. If you go here, it says thinking, but it's actually, if you go to that link, you'll find a bunch of links to practice the IELTS or TOEFL. Okay? That's my website. And on my website, if you sign up for my website, which is free, you can sign up and then you'll see all these links that you can go to practice that. All right? Practice anything from the IELTS or TOEFL. Okay? How should you write a good paragraph or essay? I don't know. What do you mean? Najib, what kind of paragraph? What kind of essay? Writing There's a lot to learn in writing. That's a very big question. I can't answer it because it's too big. Do I envy you? Do I envy you? You mean because now you guys have all these new ways of learning? I do, kind of. Yeah. I mean, I envy your... if you are able to grow up in this era of technology and self-learning, the tools that are available for self-learning today are incredible. To be honest with you, today you can self-learn as well as you can go to any university. So what you can learn by yourself online, you absolutely can learn as much online by yourself than you can in a university. Now, the difference is in a university, the professor will know what's the right information, right? That's the big difference, is if you go online, the internet has everything, which means that it has the answers, but it has also all the wrong answers too. So now you have two jobs. You have to learn the answer, but you have to figure out which answer is the right answer. If you go to school, they tell you which answer is the right answer. That's the one you should learn. So you can save yourself a lot of time if you go to school. But if you can't go to school, you can learn by yourself if you have a critical mind. If you have a critical mind. You have to have a very critical mind today, though. Okay? Okay, so Najib, I'll tell you the method. Go ask ChatGPT. Go ask ChatGPT, how do I write a paragraph or essay? How do I write a good paragraph or essay? Okay? Take care, Carlos. I sound like a questioner in the TOEFL. Many people have told me that before. Many people have said that. Right. So if people speak like me, you can understand. That means that you can understand. That's great. So now you need to talk to people who speak well. And here is the other thing that you can tell people now. This is a wonderful thing. If you understand me, the next time you see a native speaker, and you can't understand them because they use a lot of slang or they speak very informally, you can tell them, you know, it's weird because when Teacher Mark speaks, I understand like 99% of what he says. But when you speak, I only understand like 30%. That's weird, isn't it? You should tell them that because that will make them feel bad. You can tell them that and you can say, you know, I understand when the teacher speaks English, he speaks really well, so I understand him. But why don't you speak well? Why don't you speak like the teacher? You can say that. That's fine. You can. I don't mind. I think you should. Because many people are too lazy about how they speak, especially young people today. I know I sound so old when I say that, but it's true. Unfortunately, I think less than 1% of people today understand the power of language because of social media. Social media has made everybody think that language and words don't matter, but they do matter. And AI is super helpful if you actually use it properly. Yeah. Okay, so again, guys, listen to me. Najib, you are new. You have many questions, Najib. I know you have many questions. I want you to come here every day, Monday through Friday, and listen to all the questions and listen and take notes. okay? I'm usually here Monday through Friday, and I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos. So if I'm not here, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch any one of those videos, and it's just like this one, just like today. This is on YouTube right now. This will be uploaded later. So if you did not hear me today, oh, that's cool. I'll go check out Teacher Mark's YouTube channel later, and I'll hear it later. I can review it again later. Okay, so come here and watch and listen. I am a real teacher. I do teach here, okay? But here's what I want to tell you guys. Do you guys know who the Rolling Stones are? Do you guys know the Rolling Stones? It's the Stones. Mick Jagger. The Stones. Yeah, right. That's right. They have a song. That's a great song. Okay, and the lyrics of this song are very important, and you need to hear the lyrics. The lyrics are, "You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you might find that you get what you need." So when you come to my classroom, you can't always get what you want. All right? You have a question. You want me to answer your question. Sometimes you can't get what you want. But if you stay and you try, you might get what you need. Not what you want, but what you need. That's my room. That's every time I do a stream. Okay? You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. Okay? What does under the weather... so under the weather is a fun, interesting phrase. Under the weather means I feel sick. And the reason why they said that is because the phrase, a long time ago, the phrase was get out from under the weather. Get out from under the weather was the full phrase. And this was a phrase that they usually used on boats. When you worked on a boat, right? So let's say you're a sailor a long time ago, a few hundred years ago, you're on a boat, and this boat is in a storm. There's rain. There's a lot of rain. There's a lot of rain coming down, and it's very windy, and it's stormy, and it's wet. And you're sick. You're sick, and you're on the boat, and you're working on the boat, but you're very, very sick. So maybe the captain will tell you, hey, you are too sick, so get out from under the weather. Go beneath. They would tell you go down below where you'll be dry so that you're not under the weather. Understand? See, that's why etymology is so great. If you learn the history of where these things come from, sometimes there's a cool story, and that cool story makes it very easy to remember. So under the weather makes sense now, doesn't it? Right? You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. Everything you need about me is in this file. Everything that you want to know about me is in that file. If you want my YouTube channel, copy that link and paste it into your browser and open that file. Everything about me is in that file. Okay? How do I improve my writing skills to be able to get my thoughts across in writing? It takes practice, man. It takes practice, Solomon. That's why we read. When you read, you're reading the great words of other people. You're reading so that you can see how can words be used in brilliant ways so that you can use them in your own brilliant ways. So reading is like reading the sample. You're seeing what can be done. Right? So that's why you need to be able to read so that you know how to write. When you read, you'll see what's possible. Then you can write better. Okay? But then writing takes practice. Okay? It does. What about the idiom survived by the skin of my teeth? I do remember that one has an interesting... what is that again? What was that? Yeah, this one comes from the Bible. The skin of my teeth comes from the Bible. In the old book of Job, the book of Job, in the Bible it says, "My bone cleaveth to my skin and to my flesh, and I am escaped with the skin of my teeth." So that is a direct quote from the Bible. It's about when Satan tested Job Satan destroyed his family and wealth and health, and then Job is saying that he just barely escaped with his life, right? So why does it mean skin of his teeth? There are some theories about what it means. So do teeth have skin? Do teeth have skin? Anyone? Teeth don't have skin, right? So there are a couple of theories. Some people are saying that skin of your teeth means, oh, well, it's so thin, it's like you don't have one, right? So it means like barely at all. Or it means when you have dirty teeth, you have just a little bit of a film on your teeth, right? That stuff that's on your teeth that we brush off with a toothbrush, right? So that biofilm or plaque or tartar, it might have been that they were talking about, right? Or it could mean your lips or gums. So nobody is really sure what skin of the teeth means, except they know that it means that he barely survived with nothing else. Like he had no home, he had no family, he had nothing else except for himself. Okay? It's just a metaphor. Yeah. Okay? That's right. The surface of the tooth has enamel, which is equivalent to the skin. And how thin is that? It's very thin. It's very, very, very small. So when you say, I survived by the skin of my teeth, the enamel, that's really small. That's this small. That's how close it was before how close you were to dying. You were this close. The thinness of enamel. That's how close you were. Okay? Yeah, like I said, guys, it's funny how that's one of my favorite things is etymology. I know the history of many, 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 many words and phrases. I've been studying that since I was like 15. So a lot of idioms have interesting stories behind them. A lot of words have interesting stories behind them. And they're fun to learn. They're fun. Learning is better when it's fun, right? So when I can tell you a story that makes you go, oh, well, that was kind of interesting, that's a little bit of fun, right? And understanding is fun. Not understanding, not fun. Right? So when you tell a story and it makes somebody understand, that's fun. That's fun. All right. It has been an hour and 41 minutes that I've been here. Oh. Is my back okay? It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It feels pretty good right now, actually, which is really surprising. Usually it doesn't feel this good right now, but it feels pretty good right now. I did a lot of exercise yesterday. Well, I did a lot of yard work yesterday, which is exercise. And I think that maybe doing some yard work was good for my back. It helped loosen things up. Sometimes you have to move more, not less, you know? Especially with back problems. When you get older, like me, sometimes you think, well, maybe I should sit down and rest. But actually, you should do the opposite. You should get up and move. Does my band have a concert? My band does not play live concerts anymore. Now, my band, we just record music for ourselves. So we record and we put it on YouTube. So we don't perform live anymore, but we just make music for ourselves and then put it out for ourselves. That's right. Sometimes what we want is not what we need. That's right. That's why that's a great song. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. Great song. I can practice calisthenics. Yeah, Matthew, I've been trying to do a lot of stretching. Every day I've been doing a lot of stretching. And calisthenic type things. Yeah. Why does burn the midnight oil? Well, that one's easy. Language warrior, a long time ago, before electricity, what did we use for light? Before electricity, we used candles, but after candles, there was another thing that was better, and it was oil, right? So they had oil lamps, right? Those old glass lamps that have a little bit of oil and then a wick, and you can light the wick, and that's right. So that is an oil lamp. And at night, when you're working late at night, you're burning the midnight oil. Oil lamps. See, almost every idiom. There's an easy story. Almost every idiom. There's an easy story to tell about where it comes from. Challenge me. Go ahead. Ask me some more. I told you guys yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before? The word steak and the word stick. S-T-I-C-K and S-T-E-A-K. Those two words sound very similar, don't they? Steak, stick. Steak, stick. Why do those words sound so similar? Yeah. What's the easiest way? What is steak, everybody? What is steak? Steak is food, right? But it's meat, right? It's meat that you cook, right? So, what's the fastest, quickest way? If you have a fire, You have fire, and now you have meat, and you want to cook that meat, and you're in the woods. What's the fastest way to cook that meat? The easiest way. If you want to cook that meat, then you use what? No, that's not easy. Do you have a grill when you're in the woods? You don't have a grill in the woods. What do you have in the woods? A stick. You have a stick. That's right. You find a stick and you get the stick and then you put the meat on the stick and you put it over the fire. And that's why the word steak and stick sound like each other, because they're related. How much is the appearance fee for my drumming? You mean for me to go play a show for somebody? It depends on the show. I can't remember. What was the last one? The last one I got paid, they flew me out to Idaho. It was a big show, big blues performance out in Idaho. And I think it was like $500 plus hotel room and food and flight all paid. You think this might be due to a major problem with English grammar? You think what might be due? Stick to your guns, that's a different meaning of stick. The word stick, okay, so stick is also something that you do. It's a verb, right? To stick something to the wall, right? So here's the wall, and I have a picture, and I want to put the picture on the wall. So I stick it to the wall. But how do I put it on the wall? What do I use to put it on the wall? So now we have glue, but let's say I'm in the woods. I want to put something on the tree. I want to hang something on the tree. How can I hang something on the tree? What can I use? A hook, maybe. Or maybe I find a stick and I poke it through and pound it in. And now I use the stick to make it stick. Do you understand? A stick is a piece of wood, right? It's like a pointy piece of wood. So what if I take a pointy piece of wood and I use that to put my picture on the wall? I stick it on the wall. So the word sticky comes from the word stick, meaning to use a stick to poke something on the wall. Okay? Well, a long time ago, yes, absolutely, a stick could poke through the wall. A long time ago, they used to use sticks for many things like that. Yeah. Okay? And, stick, like, for example, maybe you need to make some clothing, right? You need to make some clothing, so you need a needle. And you don't have a real needle, so you have to make one. And the easiest thing to make a needle out of is with a stick. You take a stick and you cut it until it's very sharp, and now you have a little pokey needle. So yeah, wood was always the easiest thing to use to make new things, right? You don't think there's an idiom behind straight from the horse's mouth? There is a story for that one. There is a story. Straight from the horse's mouth has a great story. If you wanted to buy a horse, the easiest way to check to see, is this horse healthy? Is this a healthy horse or not? You look at the horse's teeth. If the horse has healthy teeth, then it's a good horse to buy. If the horse does not have healthy teeth, don't buy the horse. So when you want to buy the horse, you go look at the horse's mouth yourself. You go look and you say, look, it's healthy. Good, I can buy this horse. So you looked straight from the horse's mouth. Okay? So what that means is you didn't ask somebody else to tell you if it's good. You did it. You went to go look to see if it's good yourself, right? Or you found out yourself, okay? So if I say straight from the horse's mouth, that means that's definitely the answer. That's definitely good information because I checked myself, okay? Why does chip on one's shoulder imply a tendency towards resentment? So this one's a funny one, too. So this one's kind of weird. This one comes from the 1800s. In the 1800s, if you wanted to start a fight with somebody, they would dare each other. They would dare each other. Like, let me see. Like here, this is my headphones, right? So somebody used to say, I'm going to put this wood right here. I'm going to put this wood right here on my shoulder. Okay. Oh, that's not even going to stay on my shoulder. Let's try something else. Do I have something that will stay on my shoulder? I don't know. Here. This book. Let me see if I can get this book on there. I'm going to put this book on my shoulder. There we go. This book is on my shoulder. Okay? This book is on my shoulder, and now I dare you to knock it off my shoulder. I dare you. I dare you. So in the 1800s, this was this weird game that they used to play on the docks, or certain workers would they would play like, I dare you to hit me. I dare you to knock this off. You won't do it because I'm so big. I'll beat you up if you do. It was a stupid, stupid, childish game. So to have a chip on your shoulder, a chip meant a piece of wood. It was like a piece of wood that they would put on their shoulder. And then they would say, I dare you to to knock this off. So if somebody has a chip on their shoulder, it means they have a bad attitude. Like they're looking for a fight. They're looking for a fight. Okay? Speak of the devil, and he may appear. So that's just an old phrase. A long time ago, people used to think that if you talk about the devil too much, the devil will come, right? So that's why people said, don't talk about the devil. Never talk about the devil. If you talk about the devil will come, right? So, speak of the devil, it's talking about that. It's saying that if you say the devil's name too many times, the devil will come. So now what we say is, maybe you are talking to another friend about a third friend, right? You're talking to your friend Bob about your friend Abdul, right? So you're talking to Bob about Abdul. And now, well, look at that. Abdul comes. Abdul's here. Look at that. Abdul just came when we were talking about him. We were just talking about him. That's weird, right? Just like speak of the devil. If you talk about the devil will come. If you talk about Abdul, Abdul will come. Okay, so that's what speak of the devil means. English is actually much harder than Chinese to some extent. In some ways, yeah, grammar in particular. Grammar is much harder than Chinese grammar, English grammar. Yeah, that's right. To summon. That's right. To summon the devil. That's right. Any other idioms or words or phrases that you want me to tell you where does it come from? You can just give me a word. I'll tell you where that comes from. Cattle. Ah, this one's actually kind of interesting because in English we have the word cow, but we also have the word beef. And we have the word pig, but we also have the word pork, right? So why do we do that? Why do we have two words that mean pretty much the same thing? Why do we do that? This is also about history. So this is about the French and the English. And for hundreds and hundreds of years, the French and the English fought. They fought many, many battles and wars. Okay, and sometimes the British would win. The British would win, and then the British would rule. And so English was the big language when the British won. But sometimes the French would win, and when the French would win, French would be the big language. It wasn't modern French. It was called Norman French, but it was the what was it? The Norman invasion. When was that? 1066, I think. Let me double check my history. 1066. Wow, I'm good. 1066, when the Normans, that's the French invaded England and they won. They were ruling England. They took over, right? So the French controlled England for that time. And during that time, England was very weird. England had two languages. It had the language of the poor people, which was English, and it had the language of the rich people, which was French. So the poor people would say cow and pig. That was the English word. That was the poor word. But the French, they had beef. They had beef. They had pork, right? Because do poor people eat meat a lot? Do poor people eat meat a lot? No. The poor people don't eat the meat, right? They take care of the cow. They raise the cow. They farm they're farmers, right? So they will take care of the animal. So that's why they call the animal the cow or cattle and the pig instead of pork, right? But the rich people, do the rich people take care of the animal? No. So the rich people don't take care of the cow. They eat beef. Understand? So this is about the British and the French, and it's about the rich and the poor. To wear your heart on your sleeve. That one's kind of a literal one. To wear your heart on your sleeve, it means that you show your emotions to everyone, that you don't hide your emotions, right? But it's difficult to be that kind of person who's always showing how they feel. So if you take your heart out of your inside, and now you put it on your sleeve here, where everyone can see your heart all the time. That's what that means. Okay? Get off your high horse. That one is just talking about how a long time ago people used to ride horses. And again, usually the people who had horses were rich people. Poor people didn't have horses. Or they would take care of the horses for the rich people, but they didn't own them. The rich people owned the horses. So the rich people would ride the horses, and they're way up there on their high horse looking down on the poor people who don't have a horse. So get off your high horse is saying, hey, come down here and talk to me like a normal person, not like you're some rich person looking down on me from your horse. Okay? A Pyrrhic victory. Ooh, that one's a harder one. So this is a Greek term. A Pyrrhic victory was talking about when you win, but you didn't really win because too many people died, right? So you win the battle, but you lost the war, right? So that means like you fought, right? You have 10,000 soldiers and you fought your war and you won. Yeah, you won, but 9,900 of your soldiers are dead. So that's a Pyrrhic victory. Let me see. Stop correcting me. There we go. So this one comes from King Pyrrhus of Epirus. Epirus. King Pyrrhus of Epirus. He was a Greek general in 279 BC, and he defeated the Romans. The Greeks fought against the Romans at the Battle of Asculum. And so in this battle, King Pyrrhus, he won, but he lost almost all of his army, right? So he beat the Romans, but he lost his entire army in the process. So a Pyrrhic victory means when you win, but with tremendous loss. Okay? Spill the beans. So this one, there are a couple of others that I like. After I tell this one, I'll tell about Let the Cat Out of the Bag and Pig in a Poke. There are two other ones that I love to talk about. I haven't talked about them in a while. Let's see. So, a long time ago, the Greeks, again, the Greeks. The Greeks are who we usually say the Greeks are the ones who created democracy, right? That's where we get the word democracy from. It comes from Greek. Demokritos, I think. Something like that. And the Greeks, they're the ones who started democracy. They started voting. And how did they vote? They voted with beans. They had white and black beans. And you would put a white bean in if you thought one thing, or a black bean in and you thought the other. And then they would count the beans later. Right? So we have 25 white beans and 21 black beans. Okay, the white beans win. Right? So spilling the beans means you tell what happened early, right? So they didn't count yet. They didn't count the beans yet, but you know the answer. So you're going to tell everybody what was the result of the vote before they know. You can tell them. You're going to spill the beans. Understand? So now let's talk about pig in a poke. To buy a pig in a poke, that's an idiom. And also to let the cat out of the bag, that's also an idiom. And while we're there, I'm going to talk about the word cigarette. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. You see these words: a pig in a poke, let the cat out of the bag, cigarette, and the word pocket. I'm going to connect all of those words for you. I'm going to connect all of those things for you. So, to buy a pig in a poke means to buy something without really looking carefully at it first, right? You just bought it. Somebody said, oh, this is an iPhone. And you said, oh, here's my money. I won't even look. You bought a pig in a poke. You bought something without looking. So where does this come from? The word poke, P-O-K-E. A long time ago, the word poke meant a bag. A poke was a bag, all right? So to put something in a poke was to put something in a bag, all right? And it was very, very, very common to go to the market. Maybe you want to buy some meat, but if you want to buy some meat, a long time ago, it was better to buy it live and not dead. Because if it was dead, you don't know how old it is. It could be old and not fresh. So they used to buy a live animal, right? But if you want a pig, do you buy a whole pig? Do you know how big pigs really are? Pigs are huge. So nobody buys a whole pig for their family, not a full-size pig. They would buy a baby pig, okay? And so you would go to the market to buy a baby pig, and they would have the pig in the bag because the pigs will run around like crazy, right? So they would put the big pig in a bag, and they would say, here's your pig, and you would give them some money for your pig, right? So one day you go to the market to buy a pig in a bag, and you're late, you're in a rush, you're in a hurry. So you give the guy the money and you take the bag and you go home. And then when you get home, you open the bag and you look inside. Oh no, he tricked you. It's not a pig. It's a cat in the bag. So to buy a pig in a poke means that you bought something without looking carefully. And then when you got home, you opened it up and bro got scammed. That's right. So now the cat is out of the bag and you know that you got tricked. Okay? So now let's go back to that word poke. The word poke, I said the word poke means a bag, right? So they also had a small bag. A big bag was a poke, but a small bag was called a poquette. Poquette. Like that. Okay? And the letters E-T-T-E, E-T-T-E, if you see E-T-T-E at the end of a word, do you know what that means? What does it mean if you see E-T-T-E at the end of a word? Anyone? E-T-T-E. E-T-T-E, it comes from French. In French, if you have a word, at the end of that word, if you see the letters E-T-T-E, it means something smaller or something feminine, something girly, okay? Feminine, all right? So the word poke means a big bag. The word poquette means a small bag. So, let me see. Where did I put that? Oh, here it is right here. Perfect. So a long time ago, if you wanted to carry your money Where did you carry your money a long time ago? A long time ago. Before we had wallets, before we had purses. If you wanted to carry your money, how did you carry your money? But how did you carry it? What did you put it in? Well, again, what about before pockets? Before a pocket or a wallet? A small bag. That's right, Dave. Just like this. You had a little bag with a string on it like this. Right? So this is a small bag. And what did I say we call a small bag? What is a small bag called again? It's called a pocket, right? It's called a pocket. A small bag is a pocket. And then one day somebody said, you know, it would be a lot easier if I just put this right here and then I stitched it onto my clothes. That would be much easier, wouldn't it? That's where we get the word pocket from. So a pocket is a small bag, and that became a pocket. So that's why I said ETTE is like a cigar. What is a cigar? Do you guys know what a cigar is? Cigar. What's a cigar? CIGAR. Yeah, it's a bad hobby. That's right. Cigar is the big brown thing that you smoke, right? It's the big, big, fat brown one. That's the cigar. But what is a cigarette? What is a cigarette? The cigarette is the smaller one that's white and it's smaller, right? So I told you, ETTE means something smaller. ETTE means something smaller, right? So a pocket comes from the word pocket, which comes from the word poke. Poke, pocket, pocket. Cigar, cigarette. Okay? So what did I connect? I connected pig and a poke, right? And we had the word, let the cat out of the bag. And we had the word pocket, and we had the word cigarette. I connected all of them. Etiquette is also one. So what is etiquette, everybody? I love this story, too. This is a great story. I told this one the other day, but what is etiquette? Everybody, you guys know what etiquette is? What does etiquette mean? To have good etiquette. Yeah, it's manners, right? But the word etiquette, it's French. Right? And it's, you see, ETTE means something smaller, right? So the word ticket in French, the word ticket meant, ticket meant a piece of paper. It was a piece of paper, okay? So in France, a long time ago, if you wanted to be around the king or you wanted to be around any of the nobles, the rich people, there were many, many, many rules of behavior. The rules of behavior to be around the rich people. They had a lot of rules. So it was too many rules to remember, so they used to write it down on a little piece of paper. And you could keep that paper in your pocket and then look at it sometimes so that you remember what the rules are. So the word etiquette actually just means a small piece of paper. Etiquette. It's a ticket. Right? What is a ticket? A ticket is a little piece of paper that you use to get into the show, right? That's a ticket. So the word etiquette is a piece of paper with all the rules of behavior on it. That's the rules of behavior on it. Quintessential. What does quintessential mean? Quintessential means the perfect example of something. The perfect example of something is the quintessential example. And again, the quintessential, where does this come from? This is talking about a long time ago, before we have science, modern science today is very, very modern. But before we had modern science, we had early science, alchemy, right? We had these things called alchemy. And in early science around the like the 15th century, around the 1400s, right? Around the 1400s, they used to believe that everything in the world was made of 5 things. Everything in the world was made of earth, air, fire, water, and ether. Those were the 5 essential things. 5. Quint means 5. Quint means 5. So quintessential means it has all of the 5 qualities. It has air, it has fire, it has water, it has earth, it has ether. It has all of the 5 qualities. So if something is the quintessential thing, it's the perfect example. It has all of the best qualities of that thing. Okay? Even the word history, guys, the word history, it is what it sounds like. The word history means stories. They are stories. Okay? They are stories. The 5 essential things were earth, fire, water, air, and ether. E-T-H-E-R. Those were the 5 essential things. Water, earth, fire, air, and ether. Ether. Yeah, I love etymology. I love it. I know, it's weird and nerdy, but I love it. And I think it's really interesting. You know, not every word is interesting. There are lots of words that are really boring, but lots of words are really interesting. What does ether mean? Well, a long time ago, the word ether, it meant it was a special substance. It was a thing that so let's put it this way. Earth, water, fire, air. Those are the things, anything that's here is made of earth, fire, air, and water. Anything that's normal is made of the 4 elements. But anything that's godly, anything that was special, it's made of that 5th element, ether. Ether was the element that was before earth, fire, water, and air. That's what they believed. Okay, so before anything on earth was made, there was ether. Okay? And we have a phrase. We say, into the ether, into the ether. So it means like gone. It's gone. It's gone forever, right? So like, for example, a long time ago, I remember my band. One time my band, we got together to play just to have some fun. And we were playing music, and we were, all of a sudden, the most brilliant music was just happening. The 4 of us were making this awesome music, right? But we didn't record it. We didn't record it, and so then we forgot what to do, and it was gone. So it was brilliant, but it was into the ether. It was gone, never to be done again. Where's the etymology of animation? Animation comes from the word animate, which comes from the Greek word Animus, I think. Let me double check. I can't remember everything. uh, yeah, it comes from the Latin word animatus, which means to fill with boldness or courage. So the word animate actually means to fill with boldness or courage, or to breathe life into, right? So when you animate the pictures, now they have life, they move, they are animated. And yeah, anima. Anima means life or breath. Wow, it's even before Greek. It's Greek too, but it goes before Greek, even to Sanskrit. Demigod. Demi means in the middle, in between, not quite. So a demigod used to be half god, right? A demigod. Demigod can mean two things. One, it could be half god. Like, for example, in Greek mythology, the gods and the people used to get together sometimes, right? So a god could have a baby with a human woman. And now they have a half god, half human person. That's a demigod. They're like a half god, right? So, but demigod in India, demigod, I think, is a little bit more of a broad term that just means there's like a hierarchy of gods, right? The pantheon of gods. And a demigod would be that it's not on the highest level, it's somewhere down below. Okay? What does La La Land mean? La La Land is just talking about Los Angeles, LA. LA, Los Angeles is La La Land. uh, uh, One moment. The word fugazi, it's a funny word. It's a band, actually. I learned this word because there's a band called Fugazi, and I used to listen to them when I was younger. It means, if something is Fugazi, it means something that is fake, something is not real, not authentic. But nobody is quite sure where this word comes from. There are many people who have different theories, but nobody is quite sure. Some people think it comes from a company that was a limousine company called Fugazi Continental. There was a company in that, it was a New York company that rented limousines in the 1970s and 80s. They were popular. That might be where it came from. In the Vietnamese military, there's a story about it could come from the military, but I don't think that one's true. And then there is a theory that it comes from Italian American slang. It's not a real Italian word, but it could have come from the word the Italian word fugace, which means fleeting or transitory, or the Sicilian phrase fukatsu, which means it was nothing. So nobody's quite sure where the word fugazi comes from, but the word fugazi, if you say, oh, that's fugazi, it means that's fake, that's not real, that's inauthentic, it's fraudulent, it's counterfeit. Okay? What's the meaning of the word daisy? Daisy is a kind of flower. That's all. It's a pretty flower. It's a very common flower in America. They're little white flowers. Usually they're white flowers with a little yellow center. So there are many names that are just from flowers. Okay? So La La Land, yes, it means to be off. If someone says he's in La La Land, that's like maybe I have a student and I'm teaching my class, but he's looking out the window and he's dreaming about things. He's in La La Land. It means fantasy land, but it has another meaning. It means Los Angeles. Okay? Catch-22. Catch-22 comes from a book. There's a book called Catch-22. Joseph Heller. Joseph Heller wrote a book called Catch-22. And the book, it's about a no-win situation. A situation where you cannot win no matter what you do. Right? So if you do this, you win this, but you lose this. That's a Catch-22. All right. So, in the book, they have pilots who, these pilots are always being sent on these dangerous missions to fly into the war, right? And if they say that they're crazy, if they test them and say they're crazy, then they don't have to fly. So, do you tell people that you're crazy because you don't want to go fly these dangerous missions? Or do you go fly the dangerous mission? That's a catch-22. Okay? Salary. Salary comes from the word salt. Because the Romans paid their soldiers with salt. So salary means how much money you make, right? What's your salary? But the word salary is related to the word salt because the Roman soldiers were paid with salt. Improvisational mean flexible, spontaneous. So improvisational means that you're making it up without any rules. You don't know what you're doing. So usually things that are improvisational are spontaneous. But spontaneous just means to do it suddenly. So spontaneous things means suddenly and unexpected, but improv doesn't have to be spontaneous. I can tell you, I'm going to improvise this thing. That's not spontaneous. I'm telling you I'm going to do it, right? So that's the trick. It's kind of like the paradox of improv and spontaneity. Route 66 is talking about a famous road in America. There is a famous road. It's not really used anymore. Now it's just a historical road. But it was one of the roads that you could travel all the way across the United States and you could see everything, right? So that was the famous Route 66 to drive across the United States. Low key. That one is a little bit hard to explain, Dave. The basic, there's a big long story that's hard to explain. But the basic story of low key is when you do anything that's low, it's secretive. Right? Like, if I want to walk up on you, if I want to do it secretly, I don't just walk up on you like this, right? I crawl up like this so that I am low. I am low down to the ground. So doing something low key means doing it in a way that won't be noticed. In a way that won't be noticed. Okay? Candidate. I don't know if I remember that one. Candidatus, aspiring to one's office, white-robed. So, candidate. This one comes from Rome, the Roman Empire. In the Roman Empire, if you were a politician in Rome, what did you wear? If you're a politician in Rome a long time ago, what did you wear? What color? If you wanted to be in politics, then you wore white. You wore a white tunic. It was called a tunic, like a robe, okay? And so to show people that you wanted to be in office, you wore a white robe because the white meant purity, like you're clean, right? Okay, so candidates, the word candid, it comes from a word candidus, which means very bright, very shiny and bright. So candidates were the people who wore white robes to show that they want to be in office. It was a bright white robe that showed everybody that I want to serve the public. Okay? Garrulous. It's a good word. I don't think I've ever looked up where it comes from, though. Garrulous comes from the word, the Latin word garrulus, talkative, chattering. One moment. There it is. So the word garrulous, it comes from Latin, and the original meaning in Latin means to speak or to talk or to chatter. So the word garrulous really has not changed a lot. What Fifth Avenue? What about Fifth Avenue? What do you mean? You mean why is it called Fifth Avenue? That's because all American cities are almost all very new cities, right? Boston is the only one that's kind of old. But other than Boston, most of our cities are very new. So our cities are very easy to get around because they're new. So new cities, they're nice and easy. All the streets go up and down and left and right. Nice and easy in a block, right? Up and down, left and right. Chinese cities, sometimes the roads go all over the place in different roads, just like Boston. Boston roads, sometimes they go this way and this way, this way. They're all different ways. But in most cities in America, it's up and down and left and right. Okay? So Fifth Avenue is, depending on what city you're in. For example, in my city, we also have First Avenue, Second Avenue, Third Avenue, Fourth Avenue, Fifth Avenue, right? But those are, I'm sorry, in my city, it's not avenue, it's street. First Street, Second Street, Third Street. And those tell you how close you are to the river, right? So my city is very close to the river. It's right on the river. So First Street is the street that's closest to the river. then if you're on 10th Street, that means you're 10 streets away from the river. Okay? So 5th Street is 5 streets away, I think, from where? From the harbor, maybe? Let me see. Yeah, it's just the 5th North-South Street, right? So I think that it's usually north-south. The numbered streets in America are usually in the north-south streets, okay? Psychosomatic. So this word has 2 words in it, psycho and somatic. So the psycho comes from the Greek word psyche, which means your mind, right? Psycho means mind, mental. And somatic comes from the word soma, the Greek word somatikos, which means your body. So psychosomatic means it's a connection between the mind and the body. You want me to tell you what Ultraman means? Ultra just means beyond. Yeah, so Ultra is like beyond man, like more than man. Yeah. New Jersey, that's right. There is an old Jersey. Language warrior. Almost all the cities that are in America in the Northeast, most of those cities were named after places in Europe, right? So, for example, New York, a long time ago, New York was actually called New Amsterdam before that, right? But York is an area in UK. If you go to England, there's an area called the York. There's a city called York, right? And then they came to America, so they said, oh, well, you know, we came from York, so we're going to call this New York. They were very creative. They were very, very creative. No, I don't live in Cleveland. I live in Cincinnati. And yes, in America, almost all the streets, if you go to most major cities, you're going to have 2 kinds of streets. There are going to be numbered streets that go north and south, and then there will be named streets that go east and west, right? Like Broadway or Main Street, right? Most of them follow those rules. Somatic cells. Again, soma means from the body. Thank you, Suleiman, for reading my file. Wolf Street, you mean the Wolf of Wall Street? Well, that's different. That's just a movie. You don't understand the meaning of psychosomatic? You mean you don't understand the origin, or you don't understand the meaning? Because they're different. Again, somatic means from the body, of the body. Okay, so psycho means mind, and soma means body. Psyche, soma means mind-body connection. Okay? Take care. Have a good night. Yeah, it's probably about time for me to go, too. It's been a long while. But before I go, you should get my file. Did you get my file yet? If you didn't get my file, then please get my file. Okay? Everything you need to know about me is in that file. Please copy it and paste it to your browser and open it and read it. Read the file, okay? My schedule is in the file. If you want to know my website, it's in the file. If you want to know my blog, it's in the file. If you want to know my YouTube channel, it's in the file, okay? Please get the file and read it, okay? I made that file because I have 90,000 followers. I made that file because people ask me the same questions every day. Who are you? What are we doing? What's your schedule? So I made a file. Okay? Yes, that's exactly how you use psychosomatic. That's right. So psychosomatic means it's caused by something mental. Maybe it's not really, like, you're not really sick, you just think you're sick. But if you think you're sick, then sometimes your body will act like it is sick. That's psychosomatic. Okay? When am I going on vacation? I don't have vacations. In general. Palpitation. No, palpitations means your breathing is erratic and your heart is beating wildly. Palpitations means your heart is breathing, or heart is beating too fast. Can we relate palpitations to it? No, not specifically. Palpitations would just be one symptom. That's a symptom. But that doesn't mean everybody that has psychosomatic things, they're not always palpitations. Psychosomatic things could be anything. It's anything that you believe you have, but you don't really have. But because you believe you have it, you feel it. Okay, it's kind of like the placebo effect, right? If you think you are sick, and then I give you this pill and I say, oh, here's a pill, take this pill, that's medicine. If you think it's medicine, then it will work, and that's called the placebo effect, okay? But the same thing happens when you believe you're sick. If you believe you're sick, then maybe you will feel sick. That is psychosomatic, okay? You guys are too nice. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy that likes to learn. It's not hard. Anybody can do what I do. Anyone can do what I do. All you have to do is like learning. If you like learning, then you'll be much better than me. All right? Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do before I go is what I'm going to do every time I do my live streams now. I'm going to read my mantra for learning, because that's what I do here. Okay, so if you want to know, what's this guy like? What's this guy about? This is what I'm about right here. This is my mantra for learning. I'm going to read it for you now. Please pay attention. On being human, a mantra for learning. I am a student first. I am always learning. I do not know everything. I am here to understand. I listen before I speak. I think before I answer. I follow the words, not the ego. I seek clarity, not control. My mind is not finished. It has been shaped over time. What is tangled, I will work to untangle. What is unclear, I will work to understand. I take responsibility for my growth. No one can do this work for me. If I am wrong, I will learn. If I am right, I will stay humble. I build my mind before my voice. I strengthen my thinking to strengthen my language. As I improve myself, I improve what I give to others, what I can give to others. I respect the process. I respect the work. Step by step, I become better. This is my responsibility. Okay? That's my mantra. All right? If you like that, you can find it on my moments. If you like that, you can find that on my moments. You can save it. You can save it for yourself and you can read it every day. Read that. That is about how to be a human. That's why it's called On Being Human. Your job as a human is to learn and grow and try to understand yourself and the world every day. That's your job as a human. All right? Do I have a YouTube channel? I do. My YouTube channel is in my my file. Okay? If you want my YouTube channel, then please go here. Copy that link. Copy that link and paste it into your browser, and you will find everything about me. Okay? And Dave, the mantra, if you like the mantra, go to the moments on HelloTalk, the HelloTalk moments, and look at my moments, and you'll find it there. Okay? Okay, guys, I gotta go. I've been here for 2 hours and 47 minutes, almost 3 hours. Wow, that's a long time. That's a long time. Mohawk, it is working. Did you copy it and paste it like I told you to? Copy it and paste it. Don't just click on it. It doesn't work if you just click on it. But if you copy it and you paste it into your browser, it will work. Okay? All right. All right. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening. And I will see you guys. If I have time to play drums today, I will. I do have a lot of yard work to do today, so maybe I don't have time. I'm not sure. But I would like to play some drums because I need the exercise. So maybe I'll be back to play drums later today. If I don't play drums today, I think I will play drums tomorrow. So one of those two. Sometimes I play drums on my live streams for fun. All right? But please understand, if I'm here in front of this camera right here, then I'm teaching. But if I'm back there behind the drums, if I'm behind the drums, I'm not teaching English at that time. So please don't ask me English questions when I'm back there playing music. All right? Sometimes when I come here, I'm teaching, and then I'm here for you. When I'm teaching, I'm here for you. When I'm playing music, I'm not here for you. I'm here for me. All right? So when I'm playing music, it's not about you. All right? Do I know solfeggio? Well, sure. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, re, mi, re, do. Or re, mi, do. I said it backwards. Yeah, I learned it a long time ago when I was a kid. You know, I haven't done solfege in a long time, but I did learn it a long time ago. I play all kinds of music. I play all kinds of music. There are only two kinds of music, good music and the other kind. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. Bye.